This is Newfoundland's first podcast. You're with the roar.
Hi folks, how are you? Oh, cut. Okay, hold on. This is, hello, you're with the roar. Cut. Okay, cut. Hi, everyone.
Sono lieto di poter rievocare in poche parole le esperienze delle prime trasmissioni radiotelegrafiche a grandi distanze da me felicemente eseguite attraverso l'Oceano Atlantico il 12 dicembre 1901.
Holy snapping bra straps.
It's a communist for the FBI.
Republic of Avalon Radio. It's 0 hours Avalon Standard Time.
Hi, this is Ryan Gates of England. This is my shout out to the Raw. Love the show, and all your CDs are fantastic, especially Revolution Time. Sending out a good message. It really is time for the sheeple to wake up. Jim, as we say in England, you are the nut, mate.
Republic of Avalon Radio.
Either you're with us or you're with the terrorists.
You're with the roar!
Here now is Jimmy Fiddler.
Republic of Avalon Radio, you are with the roar, and I am indeed Jim Fiddler. Greetings to all. If you've just discovered the roar, a great big welcome aboard. And you other folks know who you are, all you long-term roar people. Almost 5 years now, folks. We've been roaring along for just shy of 5 years. Really, it's sort of about 5 years right now. But we acknowledge the 5th anniversary, or generally speaking, we acknowledge the anniversary on the first show that was published through the methods that we use now. We actually were doing things beforehand. But the official birthday, it's kind of, it's where do you start, really? When somebody's premature, for example, do they celebrate their birthday on their premature birth when they were, taken out by a cesarean section or something like that? Or do they wait, do they celebrate their birthday from the day they were supposed to be born or whatever? It's all very tangly stuff, really. So we just try to keep it simple. The official birthday for the Roar, in case you didn't know it, is the 21st of May. And this year will be year 5. So 5 years old. The Roar is 5 years old, or just about to be. So we would like to put out an appeal to all you. If we're going to keep doing this thing and all of that, if anyone's still listening and all that kind of stuff, then if you want to share your love with your fellow Roar listeners and maybe with us too, please do. Go over to our website, republicofavalonradio.com, and various ways of getting in touch with us there. Just any old thing you want to do. Just happy birthday to the Roar, 5th year birthday, 5th anniversary of Republic of Avalon Radio. It's kind of hard to believe that we've been doing it this long, and it's been kind of fits and starts. Sometimes we're doing it more than other times, But here we are. We're still alive and still cooking. And if you're within the sound of my voice, I'm very glad that you're actually hearing my voice right now. Over the years, we've had tons of people on board. There was a while there when this whole podcasting thing was kind of a new and exciting thing. And a lot of people were checking it out. And then that sort of passed. I think, as many things do, there's a certain swell of interest with certain things in the beginning. And then the masses drop off and you end up with the sort of dedicated group. Whatever that thing is, whether it's, podcasting or ham radio or whatever it is. Any all kind of thing you can imagine. Music. How many people have taken... Of all the droves of people that take piano lessons and things like that, how many of them actually end up, being lifelong musicians and, making their living from it and stuff like that? So it's like anything. So you are one of the dedicated few still left over after all the hoopla. That means you're a serious cat or chick for that matter. I don't know, but all you cats and chicks that are hearing my voice right now, you kind of you came in after the sort of the Adam Curry. A lot of you might not even remember any of that stuff, but in the early days of podcasting, there was all this sort of Adam Curry and all that stuff. And I don't even know if he's still doing his thing. He probably is, I'd say. But many people would call him like the father or whatever of podcasting. I tend to think it's more Dave Weiner, actually. And, perhaps Adam Curry was, say, the pioneer podcaster. But podcasting is based on a simple thing. It's RSS or any XML. That whole kind of like a feed, being able to subscribe to a feed and just have it update and all that kind of stuff. That's really Dave Weiner's area. And Adam Curry, did his thing with that after. And, full credit to him and all that stuff. But as I say, that was back in the days when it was a big, new, exciting thing. And you can actually go in this feed here. There's an episode. There's an interview that I did with NTV about the whole podcasting thing. At the time. And I think I was just more or less trying to point out to people that it's the people's media. People could do whatever they wanted with it. So if I think I was saying something like, if you're a musician and you just want to, spread your thoughts and a bit of your music and all that stuff, you can do that. If you're say retired and you've just got lots of stories and things, places you've been and people you've met throughout your life, and anecdotes that you might want to share, or poetry that you've written. You've got a big stack of poetry that you've written over a period of years, and you just would like to get these out into the public domain, even perhaps. That's another thing that people don't understand often with stuff like this. They think it's all just wide open, free, and copyright free and all that. And that's not the case. Some people put things out for free. I copyright my stuff. But I have a reasonable sort of perspective on that. I think, you can download these shows and you can put them on your iPod and you can, burn them on the CDs. And, you can do whatever you want with these shows in terms of, for the purpose that they were created. They were created to be listened to by you. So you can download them, put them on CDs, do whatever you want with them, and enjoy them. Obviously, I don't, you're not going to be burning them on the CDs and printing liner notes and selling Republic of Avalon Radio CDs on, and on your website or something like that. Obviously, that's not the idea. But I do put a copyright on all this stuff with common sense too. So it's not Creative Commons. It's common sense. So there you have it. In any case, like I said, 5 years coming up, so please do send in your greetings, your little songs, your little poems, your just your little hello and who you are and where you are, and happy birthday, happy 5th birthday to the Roar, all that kind of stuff, whatever. We'd really like to kind of have a little celebration for 5 years of our lives, and a lot of you that have been with us over those 5 years. All the various things, all the various people, all the places. See, as we've said several times before, this whole thing, this Republic of Avalon Radio, is not the sole purpose of this. When we even started, it wasn't for me to promote my music, for me to. In other words, it wasn't an artist podcast, the Jim Fiddler podcast. Could have called it that, could have gone that way, but I really decided I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to do something, and it wasn't so much podcasting. It was more a form of radio, but a free-form type of radio where we didn't have to play ads and stop for the news and stop for ads and be forced to play music we didn't want to play, or have to conform to some sort of political correctness in regards to a particular broadcaster or network or anything like that. Just my lifelong love of radio, and just wanting to wanting an outlet, an avenue where I could do that. And that involved, and still does, Lillian and myself and our life. And part of that life is where we go and who we meet and all of that sort of stuff. And that includes a lot of people, and has over the last 5 years included a great number of people that we've met somehow, either face to face or through people just calling in to the show and leaving little shout outs and little messages and things like that. We've played those, and so it's really made a lot of the listeners, a lot of you people are part of the experience. That's the whole idea. This isn't just for us to try to sell you Jim Fiddler CDs or convince you to become anything. It's just here it is, and it's part of it. It's you are a part of it, and we have had varying degrees of participation. Even an episode way back where one of our listeners in Ottawa, actually, Yves Seguin, he went to NASA and recorded just a whole bunch of stuff, on the bus and when the shuttle was taking off, being launched, whatever, blasting off, as they say. And he just sent that to me, sent that along, and I, cut it up as you do, editing, cut the pieces out, just kind of put them together, and I think that was a great episode of The Roar, in the sense that I did the work behind the scenes. I did the editing and kind of made it all flow together, just like something pretty much like something you would hear on, say, the CBC or National Public Radio or BBC or ABC Australia, whatever. One of these type sort of reportages, I guess you'd say. But in more of a sort of taking you there, as opposed to some announcer just rattling off a bunch of stuff to you. It was more put on your headphones and sit back, and Eve takes you to NASA with him. And that's been the idea of The Roar, just that same kind of, that whole kind of thing. It's usually us, but there's one example of one of our listeners actually contributing some material to the show. Of course, also we did the interview with Eddie Grant, which was wonderful. That was a great thing. You can go back and listen to that. All these episodes, everything I'm talking about, are still freely available. Just go to the website, republicofavalonradio.com. It's all the episodes are there. They're all free. So, that was the episode with Eddie Grant, who, kindred spirit kind of thing in a lot of ways. And that was done at his place in Barbados, Bailey's Plantation. And that was a great pleasure for us and a great honor. And of course, I just recorded one of Eddie's songs on my most recent record, Revolution Time, the song War Party. And he was there through the process. We kept in touch with him periodically since doing the interview with him and all that. And he was listening to the song as I was working on it, the bed tracks we call them, just the first things, even before I had any vocals in it or anything. It was just drums and bass and a bit of organ and a bit of piano and whatever, all throughout, right to the end when I had the kind of like the final mix when the song was pretty much done. And he heard it and gave his blessing to it, which was great. So yeah, we very much appreciated that, and that was a great experience. And that's something else that the roar has brought us places that we never would have gone, and taken us in directions that we wouldn't necessarily have gone in as well. And so that's a wonderful thing. You don't know what you're going to end up with when you create something, when you start doing something. You might be just thinking of the thing itself, whatever it is, and then suddenly you realize that whatever that thing is, and once you start doing it, all these other things occur that you didn't anticipate. You end up getting led in many directions that you couldn't have imagined. So that's one example of that. Of course, we had Eric Bogle. Many people would know him for writing all kinds of great songs. You can go back, we talk about all that. Eric Bogle. Well, I guess probably one that everybody knows is anybody who's into any kind of folk music whatsoever, whatever folk music is supposed to be, as opposed to dog music or cat music or any of that stuff. Folk just meaning people. The song Willie McBride, some people call it, Green Fields of France. How are you doing, Private Willie McBride? Do you mind if I sit here down by your graveside? Da 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 da. Did they beat the drum slowly? Everybody, knows anything about folk music knows that, and many other songs that he's written as well. And so it was very nice to get together with him and do an interview. And that episode is there as well. You can go and listen to that. And boy, over the years, I mean, we've had all kinds of people becoming friends of the Roar, and then friends of ours. We've met people. We've met people through Republic of Avalon Radio that we wouldn't have at all. We wouldn't have known that they existed, and we've met some very good people. So, if you are one of those people, then you know that I'm talking about you. And we'd really love to hear something from you, some sort of little thing, a little MP3, whatever, anything you want to do. You want to sing a song? You want to do a Roar jingle? You want to just, like I said, just say who you are, where you are, and happy 5th to the Roar. Anything you want to do, totally up to you. You can make it as creative or as simple and easy as you like. So, anyway, get that into us ASAP, because we're only talking a matter of weeks here now. And getting this show together is going to be an awful lot of work in terms of like getting all the pieces together and all that sort of stuff. So the 5th year anniversary is going to be a very special episode of The Roar. Woohoo! 5 years. Just imagine. We were thinking about possibly doing something. In fact, we still may. Even though the actual 21st, we're not going to be in town. I'll tell you a little bit about that. In case you're wondering what to do between, say, the 16th and the 23rd of May, I'm going to be playing at a festival out on the northern peninsula of Newfoundland, at a place called Norris Point. Norris as in Chuck Norris. And it's between the 16th and the 23rd. I'm playing at the end on, I think, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd. and gonna have all kinds of fun. It's kind of sort of before the major tourist season, so it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. How many people will be there from, you know, Montreal, Halifax, and Atlanta, and Newark, and various places, and how many people will be out that way from, say, out around the St. John's area, or how much of it will be just the local people there. It's going to be interesting to check all that out in terms of the timing. Most of the things that I've had to do with in the past, festivals I played at and so on, have been, you know, right in the heat of the tourist season in July and August. So it's going to be interesting to check out that aspect of it. And yeah, if you don't have anything to do with that time frame, if you were thinking about visiting Newfoundland, for example, and you weren't going to be able to do it in the summertime, July and August, you just can't do it. But it turns out that you could, say, for example, in that time frame, then yeah, absolutely, we'd love to see you. And I'm going to be out there playing, you know, doing a series of shows, as well as I'm going to be doing, I think, a couple of, I guess what you'd say is, you know, regular shows, a couple or three, and as well, there's going to be a reggae show. And oddly enough, it's not me initiating that's coming from their end, which is quite fascinating and quite interesting. So I'm really looking forward to checking that out as well. But the other shows I will be doing, you know, I guess more of what people have more from the folk side, you would say. Me with my acoustic guitar and doing some of those songs that some of the people who are more toward the folk and the Celtic type stuff that I do would be familiar with. But I just may throw in a few other little surprises as well, because, you know, as I said before, folk music is people music. So for example, if I happened to sing a Bob Marley song, I think Bob Marley was a person, and he very much wrote songs with people in mind, which is really, and he came from a place, and a place with its own distinctive culture, and the music has a cultural signature to it, and so I don't know what other sort of parameters are necessary to have music fit the definition of folk music. I think that pretty much covers all the bases as far as I'm concerned. So, in any case, I won't be doing any heavy metal or anything like that. But generally, people music, and you just never know what you may get. So come on out for that, and like I said, we'd love to see you there. I'm going to be doing those shows, but as well, we're going to be kind of in Roar celebration mode. So I don't know. We may possibly, it might be an idea for us to maybe print up some sort of little booklet, some little brochure, or some cards or whatever for the Roar, for, you know, fifth anniversary of the Roar, and just spread them around when we're out there. Give them to people that we meet, or just, you know, let's say we go to the pub, we can just, you know, dump a dozen of them on the bar or something. Whatever. It's a funny thing, like promoting, you know. I guess the idea is to promote whatever you do, your music or like this show. Yeah, have a sip of coffee. Hang on. I've been talking too much and the coffee's sitting here getting cold. I don't mind cold coffee as much as I guess some people do, but there you have it. Yeah, the whole idea of promotion, you know, you have to promote everything. Promote. It's all hype and all that. You know, like I make the music that I make, and I work on a record, and then the record's finished, and then we release it, and we have a launch, and after that, I'm not particularly good at the whole idea of going around and sticking it in everyone's faces or something like that. You know, there it is. It's done, and it's probably my most serious downfall. I don't have the whatever it is that it takes to do that, and I haven't met anybody else quite yet. A couple of people have come kind of close, that I would feel really akin to, in the sense that, somebody who I respect and who respects me, mutual respect and trust and all that stuff. Somebody who might want to help me promote the music. So I don't have a manager, say, for example, that kind of thing. I have in the past, but ever so briefly, here and there. And of course, I had a record contract in Europe and all that sort of stuff. But no, really, you just make the music and you get it out there. And the same with this, with this thing here, Republic of Avalon Radio. It's just something that we do it, and trying to turn it into some sort of big whatever is just not. The incentive's not there. No, that's not exactly. No, what am I saying? The incentive's not there. That's not quite what I mean to say. The desire's not there. Yeah, the desire's not there. We don't feel like we have to accumulate 1 million listeners and be the #1 podcast on the podcast alley or something like that. There was a while there, you go back and listen to the earlier episodes when it was all, as I said, it was sort of the whole podcasting thing was more of a new idea. And yeah, sure, I think at one point we peaked at I can't remember what it was, like 15 or something on Podcast Alley, which was, all the podcasts in the world. Of all of the podcasts in the world, we were like number 15 at one point, and had tens of thousands of listeners and all that kind of stuff. And that was great at the time. That was a bit of fun. It was encouragement, really, to see the stats, to see how many downloads there were and be hearing from everybody all the time. It was nice, I must say. It motivates you and it drives you along. But since then, the whole thing, not just for us, but right across the board, has dropped off considerably. And so that is part of the reason, I guess, why we don't do it quite as regularly as we used to. But that's okay, isn't it, folks? It's just nice to, I guess, I hope for you, when you see, oh look, there's a new roar. I hope that's a good thing for you. And because of that thing I was mentioning earlier, the whole what a podcast is, or as any regular listener knows, I'm not particularly fond of this term podcast, whatever that's supposed to mean. Yeah, fine. But it's about that whole idea of you don't have to go to a website and download MP3s. You can just subscribe to it. You can subscribe to the feed, and whenever there's a new episode, you just automatically get it. That's very, very handy, very nice. There are some applications that do this, and they don't involve the downloading. You can just go, and you've got your shows that you subscribe to, your feeds, and then you can go, and all the episodes are there, and you click. But they don't necessarily notify you when there's new episodes. You have to go out of your way to go in and look. The whole initial idea of podcasting and using something like this program called Juice was you didn't have to go look through. If you're subscribed to 25 podcasts, for example, you'd have to go into each directory or each folder or each whatever to see if there's anything new there. And then you have to try to remember what you listened to before, what you didn't, But the Juice program, you would just basically click one button and it would just go fetch anything new, and all the new stuff would show up in the downloads section, in the downloads pane. I think on the left side is the subscriptions, and on the right side of the screen is that's the download section. And anything new would be right there. And it was easy. It was easy and it was tidy, and you could just click on it and listen to it. But of course, it also downloaded the files for you. It would be nice, I think, if Juice isn't under development anymore. But it would be nice, I think, for someone to do a little extra work on that and have the ability built in the Juice. Because some podcasts I want to download, and other ones I don't necessarily want to. It'd be nice to have the ability to just be able to go in and click on a show and listen to it without having to download it. That'd be nice, but can't have it all, I guess, folks. So, yes. In any case, as I was saying, I think perhaps, maybe, I'm not sure, depending on if we hear any feedback, perhaps we may decide to do this, but we may have a little birthday party for the Roar, 5th birthday party here in St. John's. Just get together, maybe down to the pub or something like that, and record a bit and have a little, a little cake and a few pints and a few tunes and things like that. A few yarns, as we say. So if anybody has any interest in that, let us know. We don't know when we'd be doing that. The Roar's birthday is on the 21st of May, and my birthday is on the 6th of June. So we may combine the two. That might be an idea. So perhaps for my birthday, we would do the Roar's 5th, and then we can just take the emphasis off of me altogether, and we can celebrate the Roar's birthday instead. That would be a good birthday celebration for me anyway. So. Anybody has any thoughts on that, please do go to our website, republicafavalonradio.com, and let us know. If we hear nothing from nobody, chances are we'll do nothing. But if there's any interest, anybody in the area here, or anybody who thinks that they might like an excuse to come here, let us know, and we'll accommodate you any way we can. What else is going on? I've been working on, I've been the mad scientist in the studio, working on a few things. One song that I recently recorded from Atlantic Fest, actually. It was one of the people involved with the whole Atlantic Fest. Those episodes are available as well from 2006, I think. Wait, no, 2005. The Atlantic Fest, the Gala-casts, that's what they're called. Gala-cast 1 and Gala-cast 2, I think. Way back there somewhere. One of the performers, one of the Irish performers from Cork that was over here, Niall Connolly, wrote this song that he performed on the Gala-cast at the Arts and Culture Centre, which was part of Atlantic Fest and part of Islands of Song. This song that he performed just kind of stuck with us, and for some unknown reason, a couple of weeks ago, I just was sitting here in the studio, kind of swiveled around in my chair, and here was my... Hang on, let me show you. Ooh, what the heck? Yes, hear that click? That's... That's the piano. So I just turned around and there we go. Started playing my piano, and next thing I know, I was recording that song. And over the subsequent days, put down the other tracks in it. Bass guitar and acoustic guitars and vocals and all these things. And sent it to Niall, and Niall was tickled to death. He really liked it. I finished the song. I co-wrote the song with him, I guess, inadvertently. One of the things when we were in Cork was the idea of pairing up a Newfoundland artist and an Irish artist and kind of putting them in the room together and, hoping a song out of the process. Me, as I've talked about before, I'm not so much an occupational writer as I am an inspirational writer, so that's a very awkward thing for me. Other people work better like that, not me. So anyway, for this song that he had written, which had 2 verses, and what I ended up doing afterward was transposing it from acoustic guitar to piano, and then a full musical arrangement, and writing another verse and a bridge. So, but it wasn't stuck in a room, and it wasn't expected, and I didn't expect it either. It was just like I said a couple of weeks ago, that song just came into my head, and I just started playing it on the piano, and next thing I know, I was laying down tracks. So anyway, Big shout out to Niall if you're listening, and it was good to take that song into some little area where maybe it didn't expect to go, and that's it really. Just thanks for starting it. Thanks for writing that song in the first place, and thanks for being gracious about my sort of taking it and bending it and twisting it in ways maybe that you didn't anticipate. And I'm really glad that you liked it. So we'll see what happens with that now. I never recorded it for a record. I never recorded it for a record company or a project or anything. It was just I just recorded it. It just came to me, and there it is. So we'll see where that goes at some point in the future. We'll have to see. What else? I've been working on a song, another co-write, as it turns out, and much in a similar kind of way. I've been working on getting a group together. It's funny, fate has kind of told me not to rush it. Some things that we were working on didn't quite work out as we had anticipated, and the whole project sort of took a major stumbling block, I guess you'd say. A setback, that's the word I'm looking for. It has experienced a major setback, the details of which I won't go into. It's not necessary, but just, I guess, let it be said, or whatever, that it's a very sad, for me, and for Lillian too, sort of turn of events that kind of sets everything back. And we were hoping to have the group together this summer and be out playing music and all that, and because of this setback, it's not going to turn out that way. But things are meant to be and things aren't meant to be, and everything has its time and its place and all that stuff too. So we're just going to push ahead, not be deterred, but at the same time not try to force anything before it's time. We'll just keep pushing on. So what I have been doing is working on the vocals, working with Terry Lynn and Renee Batten and Terry Lynn Eddy, and we've been kind of building this vocal triangle, 3-part harmony thing, with kind of myself as the lead and then the two of them as the other 2 points on the triangle. So it's a 3-part harmony thing where we sing 3 together, and then I sing some stuff in between, and then we sing some more 3 together, and sometimes I'll sing something and the two of them I'll call and they'll answer, that kind of thing. And that's been going along really well, and part of that involves a song that Renee wrote at one point, or partially wrote, I guess, as it turns out. And so they were talking to me about that song and asked me if I would have a look at it and see if maybe, I don't know, I could do something with it or take it in some direction or other. So they recorded it just with the acoustic guitar and in the kitchen, and went away, and I sat down and listened to it, and same kind of thing, just started laying down tracks and ended up writing a whole middle part for it, and a whole other verse, and changing a few words here and there just to kind of keep the consistency with the whole vibe and the intention and all that kind of stuff. And why don't I just play a little bit of that for you here now, just before we go any further. The song is called Be Free, and I'll just play you a little piece of that here now and let you kind of get a sense of it. It's it's roots reggae, and it's written by Renee Batten and myself now, as it turns out. And it's like 2 co-writes in the run of no time, really. Here's a little bit of the song Be Free, brand new, out of the root cellar, from the group that doesn't quite exist yet. So you're hearing music from a group that is just in the formation stage. The group actually doesn't exist. You can't go see this group anywhere. You can't go buy CDs. Nothing. It's still gestating. So anyway, here is a little bit of that song. It's called Be Free. Enjoy.
Just think about today. If you complicate your problems, it won't help them go away. All we need is some peace and harmony. Everything's gonna be alright. Oh, Jah truth shall set you free. All we need is some peace and harmony. All we need is to be free. Oh, all we need is some peace and harmony. All we need is to be free. So if them never seem to have solution, you got to clear out your mind from all pollution. 'Cause Babylon in the state of confusion, and this your time is the time for revolution. Don't let your mind get caught up in them illusion. You're not a fluke in them little evolution. You are a miracle in this your creation, and only Jah is the one and true salvation. All we need is some.
Yeah, so there you have it. Faded out at that point there because we don't want to give you the whole song, just an idea of it. Don't know what we're going to do with it yet. Might release it as a single or something. That might be interesting. Like online, CD Baby, stuff like that, iTunes. May do that. If anybody has any interest, let me know. If you want that song, if you think we should do that, even though we don't quite have a group yet and all that sort of stuff, yeah, let us know. And if there's enough interest or whatever, we just may consider doing that. In any case, I hope you enjoyed that. Be free. The group, as I said, is not yet together, so there's really nothing more I can tell you in terms of look forward to our great show coming up or anything like that, or here's where you can go and buy our CDs. We don't have any CDs. We don't even have a full group yet. So, let's see here. The other thing I've been working on is this song that I wrote a long time ago called Leslie Street. One day I was listening to Alan Watt. You can find him at cuttingthroughthematrix.com. Brilliant man. Worth the listen. It's not sensationalist. It's not exciting. It's not razzle-dazzle. You won't get up and dance to it. But if you give it a listen, it just may be something that you find interesting. Anyway, I was here listening to him one day, and for some reason, reached for my guitar. I didn't have any picks. I use picks all the time. I use a guitar pick. I don't do a lot of finger picking. But I noticed I had no picks in my pocket. So, what the heck? What am I going to do? I was there with the guitar on my lap, and I reached into my pocket and no picks. So, okay, all right. I laid down the guitar, put the guitar away. Out over the kitchen door, up on top, there's a little ledge there. And there were some picks up there, and I reached up, and they were all sort of dusty and greasy and grimy. So, great, all right. So I washed them off, bit of soap and warm water, rinsed them all off. Beautiful. They were just like brand new picks again. But for some strange reason, I just went and put them all back up on the shelf. I went and got my guitar and realized that I had put all the picks back on the shelf. So I said, okay, well, I guess that's not meant to be. Who needs a pick? And then I noticed that my guitar was in standard tuning. Most of everything that I do on the acoustic guitar, 99.999, is using a tuning called DADGAD, which you tune the strings instead of E, A, D, G, B, E, you tune them D, A, D, G, A, D. That's why it's called DADGAD. And that's what I use mostly. But for some reason, the guitar was in standard tuning. So here I was with no pick and this guitar in this standard tuning thing. And I picked it up and I sort of made an E minor chord. And I put my thumb on the E and my second finger, I think, on the open G string. And just plucked. And I went, I like that sound. I like that color. And then I just started moving my fingers around. And next thing I was going up to a G chord and then back down to the E minor again. And I just started singing. No pen, no paper, no plan, no quote-unquote writing lyrics. I just started singing, and I sang 2 verses. They just came right out of me. And so I then came out here to the studio, into the control room. I said, oh, well, geez, I don't want to forget this. You know, it's coming along pretty well. I really like it. Like the sound of it. And so I just, grabbed my guitar and I laid down a guitar track, just played it through. And before I could turn around, really, I had laid down a couple of guitar tracks, a keyboard track, a bit of hand drum. I think it was my djembe. And I had actually recorded the vocals. So I had a demo, just a scratch, a little idea, so I wouldn't forget the song and the color. Because it really did have a color. There was something special about the song, I found. And I didn't want to forget it. So as it turns out, I just kind of took that out of mothballs just within the last days. And had to do very, very little with it. All I did was add some percussion. I had kind of like a little shaker sound on the drum machine, just as something to keep the tempo kind of thing while I was recording the guitars, because I don't so much like that thing, Any of you who do or have done any recording, you'll know about click tracks, and I've talked about click tracks before, and they're very useful, and I think should be used as par for the course, really. But it doesn't always have to be that click, click, click noise. Sometimes you can use a click to lay down something for you to follow that's a little more friendly to the ear, using some extra percussion or whatever. I like to do that. Sometimes I'll just record a guitar track, for example, an acoustic guitar track, to the click, but that guitar track never ends up staying in the mix. Even if there's an acoustic guitar, I'll redo it after. I'll just lay down that guitar track to a click, and then turn off the click, and from then on, and just use that guitar as the reference, because I know that that guitar was done to a click. So I don't hear the click very often. I just hear it for the first pass, maybe right at the beginning, and I'll lay down my own little bit of shaker or guitar or something like that, and then follow that. So any of you maybe who are totally annoyed by this click track thing, you may want to do that. You may want to just create a loop for yourself. Just play a little bit of drum or a little bit of shake or something that gives you some chicka chicka chicka, something steady to follow, and maybe just loop it or something like that and follow that. Anyway, I'm getting totally sidetracked. Sorry. Yeah, so that afternoon I had the song. It was like a demo, whatever. Recently I took that song out of mothballs and I've been working on it, and didn't need much at all. Just a little bit of percussion. I put the this instrument that I have. It's like this kind of a half a rolling pin with beads around it. I'm sure some of you have seen that before. It's called a cabasa. And I just laid down a couple of tracks of tapping the cabasa, just rhythmically tapping, playing it without going. Wait now, hold on. Let me see if I have it handy. I can show you. Where is Mr. Cabasa? Where are you? Is he here? Yes. All right. Yes, I have it right here, Mr. Cabasa. All right. The way most people play this is they pick it up and they go like that. They just put their hand around it, and so you hear this. That's the cabasa. But there's other, you can do that with a cabasa too. Just roll it up your arm, kind of. Or you can just get it closer to the mic here. You know? Or you can shake it like that and treat it almost like a shaker. Anyway, what I did with this song was I just laid down some kind of like a little things like that, and another one was just, and I just put them together instead of using the drum machine thing. And what else did I add in? I added in very, very little else. Little bell here and there, little ting on a bell, and not very much at all. So it's just that the day I wrote the song, the little demo I recorded, just sort of mixed together, and not really much else added in. Even the lead guitar solo, I think I did that a couple of days later. Let me play part of that song for you. In fact, I will play part of that song for you. The song is called Leslie Street, and I've talked enough about it already. Given you enough of a foundation, I think, so that you can just give it a listen. I'll play part of it, and then I will interrupt it and be back with you. So here is Leslie Street. Enjoy.
Walking over Leslie Street, slipping toward the waterside, where the disenfranchised meet to fortify their Irish pride. Have you seen the news today? 14 dead in push and boom. Dollars fading fast, they say, but everybody's looking cool. Tooralura, toorale. Tooraloo. Mother, tell me what to think. Is it safe to go outside? Is the water fit to drink? Daddy, take me for a ride. In the town it's getting dark. The children have all gone inside. The mothers praying on their knees. The war just rages on and on and on. Tooralura, tooralay. Say that it's alright. Have all the soldiers gone away? Is Daddy coming home tonight? Tooralura, tooralay.
All right, well, there was at least a piece of Leslie Street. That's, again, you know, I do this show. We're doing this show here, and I still got the cabasa in my hand here, by the way, folks. Yeah, I could just give away all my music for free and put everything I do in the show here, but at least you can get a chance to hear what's going on, some things, get a general idea. That song isn't on any record, as I say. You know, it's just something I'm working on right now. And I suppose it'll be on a record at some point in the future, on a CD or something. We will have to see. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that. And without any further ado, why don't we just move on? Because I've been spending a lot more time here babbling and not sort of getting on with things. Let me just go to a little segment. Let's take you outside with Lillian and myself. Again, as I said before, anybody interested in anything to do with Norris Point, the 16th to the 23rd. As I said, I'll be there the 21st through the 23rd. Or perhaps being part of some sort of celebration for the 5th anniversary of Republic of Avalon Radio, whether that be in the form of coming to St. John's and we have a good old time for ourselves and tip a glass, tink a glass for the roar. All that stuff, or even just a little greeting from you, a little MP3 happy birthday song or poem or wish or whatever, anything at all. Bear that in mind. Let's take you outside now to a little segment that actually ran out for some reason during the recording, just about 5 minutes before we reached our destination on one of our regular sort of strolls down to the pub. About 5 minutes before we got there, the machine just died for some reason. So you don't really hear any kind of ending or goodbye on this recording. But there it is. So if you got your headphones on, as we recommend, always, then you will be able to experience this in full stereo and all that stuff. Otherwise, what the heck, whatever. However you listen to The Roar, we're just glad that you listen. We're glad to have you aboard. And we're glad to be just about turning 5 years old. So that's it. republicofavalonradio.com. Go on over there and check everything out. And as I said, we love to hear from you, always. Hope everyone's doing well. And let's not even, we'll just go to the outdoors. Lillian and myself out on a little stroll on a nice, beautiful evening recently. And we'll just call that a show, folks. And episode 78 with 79 looming large. We've actually got some stuff already put aside for episode 79. So that one will be coming soon as well. So a big shout out to all of you. And big up the crew. And let's go outside. After this little jingle, of course, you're listening to Republic of Avalon Radio.
Republic of Avalon Radio.
Radio for lazy people who don't want to do nothing.
You're with the roar.
Roaring right along. Republic of Avalon Radio. I, in case you didn't know, am Jim Fiddler. And coming just behind me, any moment now, is the lovely Miss Lily, who is right now letting the cat in through the door. Our puss cat, Gypsy. As we're just heading out, he comes along and indicates that he doesn't want to be left out the whole time we're gone. So he is now currently being let in. He's in the house. Miss Lily's here, and we are off to the races.
Hello.
Another roar coming at you.
Another roar and another walk.
Yes, indeed. It's funny because, what does that average out to? We started in, she's almost at 85 then. We started in 2005, yeah. So, if this were our 5th anniversary right now, but it's not, it's coming up very soon though, next month, that would be an average of 15, better than 15 a year. So that would be
a little over one a month.
Better than one a month, yeah.
That's not bad.
That's not too bad, and of course that's going to pick up because there were a couple of big lags in the middle there, and as we press on now, that'll be well compensated for, and that average will come sweeping back again. Probably smooth out at something that will look like about a one every couple of weeks sort of average, I'd say. I'm trying. I've got my old filter on here, my windscreen that Lillian made for me. I designed it. I drew up the blueprint, and she actually put all the grunt work in and actually did it. So she's the.
It still works.
And it's a little frazzled, but it still works. I just noticed that the little bit of breeze getting into the microphones is not so great. So I decided to just go ahead and stick our little guy on top of the machine here. So hopefully it's doing its job. It might even be operating as a bit of a popper stopper as well. Because I did notice a couple of peas popping on the last occasion. But hopefully now the little guy here will do the job. There's a bit of wind right now blowing right into the microphones. And we'll see how well it stands up. Pardon?
Depending on which way the wind is blowing, it makes a big difference in the temperature, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, and this breeze is coming right from the water.
Yeah, you can tell.
Which is going to be the coolest
Yep.
possible scenario. But, I mean, would you say it's cold?
No, it's not cold.
Certainly not cold. It's not t-shirt weather. But in a like if you had any kind of anything on, really, like I'm just wearing a light jacket and a short sleeve shirt underneath.
Me too. I don't have any mitts on or anything.
No, folks, it's in the 50s here. It's somewhere.
This is only my second day without mitts, though.
It's between 10 and 15 degrees Celsius. So it's somewhere in the in the 50s for all our American friends. So you know what that means. Of course, if you live somewhere where you're used to, you know, the temperature never ever dipping below 25, then you're going to probably in your mind think of 12 or whatever as being pretty cold. But in April here, 12 is pretty good. We'll take it.
Oh, yes.
In the nighttime.
Especially.
Well, just think about it in the height of summer. In the nighttime, quite often it's no more than maybe 16 or 17 degrees.
Yeah.
So we're only, 4 degrees off of that, maybe.
Oh, that's not bad.
No,
We can't complain about that.
we can't. Well, we could, but
We could, but we won't.
what would be the point? Who'd listen? Who'd care?
Who would care?
Yeah. There's a big who cares about whatever they complain about bunch of people in the world, and I've run into some of them.
Yeah, it's like the lost and found section.
It's identical to that.
Yes, exactly.
It's synonymous. It's unanimous. Yes, there's another group I keep running into the members of quite frequently. Alcoholics Unanimous. They're a widely represented bunch.
For sure, they like to get together and kind of drown their sorrows.
No, that's not what it's all about.
No.
I think you missed the point.
Alcoholics Unanimous.
Yeah, that's what the other organization is for, that kind of stuff. Alcoholics Unanimous is a little more celebratory.
Okay.
A little more on the upswing.
Okay. Well,
more.
good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes.
I wouldn't want it to be, kind
What?
of sad.
No, you wouldn't want it to be sad. I wouldn't want it to be sad either.
No.
It would be very sad if it were sad, I would think.
I'm thirsty now.
Drink.
Can't. It just occurred to me that I'm really thirsty.
I always say that
We're on Water Street.
Yes, we are. It's the power.
Water.
It's the power of suggestion. That's what it is.
They should have little stands along the way, like.
Water stands.
Yeah. Why not? Or fountains, like drinking fountains on Water Street. Now there's an idea for the city.
Yes, once we get Rome status. The public baths and the and outdoor water fountains. And what else then?
Well, bicycle trails would be okay.
Sandal repair people at on the corner of every block.
Yes.
A few soothsayers. Forsooth.
Soul repair.
Soul repair? Yes. No, Rome was not a terribly holy type place.
No, I think it was probably quite decadent and
rather
and
Babylonian, really.
Babylonian, yeah.
I think so. But
and the poor were probably.
Well, no, it
doing
depends on
so
which
great.
time you're talking about, because in the time of the Republic, things were actually not so bad for the average person.
Yeah, that's true. We just realized that quite recently when we watched that.
I knew that long time. I had this information. Do you know about that? Yes.
Well, yeah, because they had had to do with their money system, wasn't it? The way they.
Well, that was a
money.
part of it, That's part of the story. I mean, it was something. It was a thing what we was watching. You can go and look for it on Google Video or YouTube, I think. It's called The Secret of Oz.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Which is like a follow-up to the film The Money Masters. I would recommend to anybody, if you want to understand the whole, how banking works and so on, the origins of it and how it works. The Money Masters is a great film to watch. It's been on the long side. It's over 3 hours. But what the heck, it's free. And it's absolutely fascinating. What you learn by watching that film is amazing. And The Secret of Oz is a follow-up to the movie. I don't think it's... Well, whatever. People could watch for themselves. I won't give any spoilers or I said I don't think it's. Now, was I going to say I don't think it's as good as the first one, or I don't think it's a bad follow-up? You have no idea what I was going to say, so I didn't give anything away. I don't think
There is
it's a great.
well, one interesting thing about it is you learn about the book, the guy who wrote the book, The Wizard of Oz, why he wrote it and what all the symbols mean in the book.
Yeah.
Which is
Well, it wasn't called it was called The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Right.
That was the book.
Right. Okay.
And they were silver slippers as opposed to ruby slippers.
Yeah. And the yellow brick road.
And the yellow brick road.
You can
or
probably
the
guess
gold.
what that symbolizes.
Yeah. And just a whole bunch of stuff in there. It's very interesting when people not so much write in code, but you know, art is a funny thing, really. Sometimes you write a song. Well, I guess probably a real good example of that is an instrumental. You know, like if you look at my Midnight Rover album, for example, there's a track on there called Lillian, A Portrait in Sound. You know, and obviously there's no, you know, I'm not saying Lillian, oh, she has the fairest hair and whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think it really does, you know, you can paint a picture with sound. And there's another one, Flow on Waterford River. And another one that I put on there, dedicated to my sister Nancy, who I guess you could say was taken away from us. So I find that a very strange kind of way of describing it. Because I think anyone who says that, they mean God.
Yeah.
And I don't think God comes down and snatches up little 3-year-old girls.
I don't think so.
You know, whatever. Just, I'm more along the lines of things happen, and you don't know why things happen sometimes, but anyone, you know, to be angry at God because, you know, everything didn't work out just so.
True.
I think is just as crazy as really you see these guys coming out, you know, yeah, well, it's real good, you know, winning the Super Bowl. I just want to thank God.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. To me, that's kind of like a public thing. That's making kind of a public whatever. I mean, I think it's, you know, your soul issues. To talk about the theology and to talk about all these things is great.
I find football especially.
Well, football
like that.
sticks out. Hockey players don't tend to do that as much.
No, they don't.
You know, the odd baseball player.
Yeah.
But you know, again, folks, don't at all get me wrong. I think anybody who's been listening long enough understands that I am not coming from some sort of atheistic perspective or whatever. It's just you know, it's like, to me, it feels almost like a little bit like two people who love each other out necking in public. It's a little bit like that. It's like, okay, the love is great, but do we need to see this?
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
It's a little bit like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was my original point that got me off onto that? I was talking about something.
The Wizard of Oz?
The Wizard of Oz, yes. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Oh,
And
the music. Yeah.
The music, painting a picture with sound, and being able to kind of say something in an artistic way, so it's not just the same way as you would say it in prose, or, you know, just in a spoken sentence, the way you would just tell somebody something. You know, you get artistic with it, and you can kind of say things in a more abstract sort of way.
Okay, I got something to say here for a second.
She's stopping. This must be important, folks.
There's a street lamp here, like a street light.
Yeah.
And last night we walked by here,
Yeah.
and the street light went off the exact same moment. So, do you think there's some kind of sensor or something?
Probably. Either that or some sort of other funkiness. Anyway, let's just keep
The rest of
moving,
them don't do it.
just in case of the funkiness. Why a sensor would be triggered? You know, if anything, it would be the other way. You would think the light
It
would
would
be
come on,
the light
yeah.
would be off,
Yes.
And when people came into proximity, it would come on,
exactly.
so that they could see where they were going.
Oh, it's back on again.
Don't worry about it.
No, I'm not. I just find it very curious.
You find it very? I don't think it's curious at all.
No,
I think you're the curious one, if you ask me. Yes.
Now this one here came on as we went on underneath it.
Yeah, there's some sort of a method
Weird.
to it, folks.
Okay.
I'm sure of
I
it.
never noticed that before.
I'm provinced.
Sorry to bore you guys with that. It was just a little
No, it's just an
thing.
observation. If anybody knows why that happens or how that works, why we would walk under one light, it would go off. Now, it seems to me like perhaps they're probably on a timer. If you stood back and watched, they probably, one goes off, the other one goes on. You know, like street lights do that.
Yeah.
The red light doesn't.
I just noticed it for the first time last night, and I was thinking, okay, because sometimes the street lights go off at a certain time.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, okay, it's just a coincidence. It must be like 12 o'clock or something. And the
They wouldn't go off at 12. What would be the point of that?
I don't know.
Why would
They go off on our street at a certain time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know about these things. What do I know about street lights and so on? That's just outside of my realm altogether.
Yeah. I will.
Yes. So if anybody knows any more information about les habitudes des lumières, please let us know. All right?
Yeah, please.
The habitudes of the illuminating devices.
We want to be enlightened.
Enlighten us. Absolutely. So yeah. Anyway, so those two films, highly recommended. One is called The Money Masters, and the follow-up to that is called The Secret of Oz. And it's just good information. It's not if anyone's afraid, oh, it's probably that conspiracy theory stuff or something like that. No. It's just information, and it's very interesting. Yeah, might sound like a dry topic, but I mean, it affects us all. It's a very real thing, and it just gives it to you in a very tangible sort of way.
Yeah.
And you don't feel like you're being, you don't feel like you're in a, in a university hall getting, at some boring lecture or something like that.
Yeah.
I won't go so far as to say it's entertaining or anything like that.
It is something, though, that affects everybody. I mean, our lives revolve around it.
Well, I mean, didn't we just all pay out billions or trillions? Well, I mean, some people, there's a kind of a false low number that they publicize, and then the number has gone. Well, that number, they knew even when they published that number, 750 billion or whatever the heck it is, million, I don't know. One of those big words, big numbers. But I mean, that wasn't even realistic at the time. But when that was put out in the public, that's the number that they stuck out there. Since then, of course, the numbers have gone up, and once you kind of open a gate like that, anyway, let's not go there necessarily. But we got robbed blind, and then we paid the robbers. The robber came in, robbed us. And then he came back and knocked on the door, and we walked down to the bank and took out a bunch of money out of the bank and gave him that on top of it. So if you find that fascinating, and that sort of makes you shake your head, that whole bank bailout that just took place, or whatever.
I don't know if there's ever been a time in history when people have been so in debt.
No, there hasn't been.
individuals.
No, there hasn't been.
And it's been pushed and pushed and pushed for, the last 20 years or longer, I guess.
Longer, yeah. 20th century, second half of the 20th century, big time. Coming to I don't know if you can call it a peak, but coming to its current hysteria, or whatever you want to call it, since I guess the beginning of this century, starting with the dot-coms and so on in the late 90s. But mainly this whole big thing is really coming to a crunch. Part of what you'll be able to figure out
by watching those films is when you look around at the current state of affairs, a lot more things will make sense to you. You think that things happen because they don't like that fella in Russia said something bad the other day, so that's why something is happening. Or no, that's not why these things happen. All that's just kind of window dressing. That's part of the bread and circuses. That's just to keep us peons or plebs or serfs or whatever you want to call us, kind of distracted from the real issues, keep us entertained. So they make kind of rock stars out of all these presidents and prime ministers and stuff, and have these things going on for us to be distracted by, while they're doing all the boring stuff in behind the scenes. That's apparently what it is. It's the boring stuff, because they do write big fat books about their policies and their policies for the future, what they want to see in terms of what the political environment's going to look like in the 21st century. And the United Nations, believe it or not, you can go to their website and check it out. Their model country from the 20th century for the world in the 21st century. What do you think it is? Some people might say, how about Switzerland? No. Sweden? No. The Netherlands? No. Canada? No. The United States? Okay, must be Great Britain. They just had, hundreds of years of empire, and suddenly, according to a lot of people, they just all got really nice and formed a commonwealth, and they're all friendly and lovey-dovey now. Nope, not them either. The 20th century country that the United Nations would like to model our lives and the lives of our children and grandchildren after is China, or as some people say, Red China. So, just a little food for thought for anybody who has any kind of interest in, social mores or moral standards or human rights or anything like that, or any people who claim to have this big love for this thing called democracy. If that were real, that would be more interesting to talk about. But anyway, so that's the serious little portion of our stroll. Just two little film recommendations, and we'll just carry on.
Okay.
Indeed.
This is the fun part coming up here.
That was the bread, and here comes the circuses, the circi.
Well, we're getting close to the circus.
We're getting close to Peepsville, we call it.
Yes.
Last time. So I've been working on the new song. It's one of those things, doing this. I play some music in the show, but I obviously can't play all my music, because then I'm making all my music available for free, and I starve to death in a ditch somewhere. Nobody ever buys my records. So I love you guys hearing the music, and I love sharing the music with you. Several of the songs that I've recorded and released commercially, I've put up on the show and in various episodes. And if somebody wanted to spend the time and rake through them, and they can go bring up any kind of audio editing software and rip the songs out and I would hope that people wouldn't be leaning toward that, and that they would just go to the website jimfiddler.com, or on our website there's a link through to my official website at republicofavallonradio.com, and you can click through there and buy the music. I really feel good about the music getting out there. Of course, we also appreciate it when people throw something into the tip jar. We got a tip jar on the main page there, a little PayPal link. So if you can just, I don't even know if you don't have to have a PayPal account, do you?
No, you can.
If you have a credit card, it's PayPal or credit card, MasterCard, Visa. No, Yeah, MasterCard, Visa, from your PayPal account. I don't know, whatever else. Diners Club, all that stuff. American Express, whatever. So people have gone up there. You're very close. All right, good luck. What was I saying? Yeah, people have gone there and, you know, just put $100 in there. The people who've listened to all these shows and realized the value. And I guess they were amply entertained or enlightened or something. And other people have gone up and put 20 in there and whatever. There's no amount. We just appreciate it. And but like I say, I really like the idea of, you know, the music that I'm doing. Yeah, I guess one way is kind of like, see, there's two issues. Oh, jeez Louise. There's two issues really, I suppose. We make this available for free. I guess some other shows you have to pay and subscribe and all that. We like to keep this free and leave it up to you, the listener, to dig in and throw a little change at us, you know, from time to time. We've thought about, and we may do this at some point in the future, allow people to keep it free, but some people who want to can subscribe and pay some little dinky amount, you know, like buy us a pint every month or something, buy us a glass of beer, technically, you know, every month, something like that. We may do that, but anyway, let's not talk about all that. Anyway, the two things I was saying, yeah, that PayPal thing is kind of a way for people to show their appreciation for the Roar, and of course JimFiddler.com is a separate thing. That's me, that's my music. You know, that's my life, really.
A new website, I think, since the last.
I have a new website. Yeah. People should go and check it out. Yeah.
Definitely, you can hear all the music there.
JimFiddler.com. You can hear all the music there, samples and all kinds of gear.
Yeah, just check it out. There's lots of.
You can join my Twitter thing.
Yes, exactly.
For example.
He's on Twitter now, and.
I'm on Twitter. I'm tweeting.
Tweet. Pictures. Pictures you haven't seen before, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Pictures of Jim playing and all that kind of stuff.
Check it out.
And video too.
Video and everything.
There, yeah.
Check it out, you know. You want come cool eye up? Well, you can come cool eye up.
Yes.
Yes. So, yes, indeed. We're just getting down, folks, into Peepsville. Now, we always say to you, fine listeners, at the end of the show notes, every episode, it says best listened to on headphones, and there are reasons for this. For example, I'm over on this side now, and now I'm coming over on this side right here. If you're just listening from the other side of the kitchen, you just didn't hear that so much. This is all in full stereo, recorded at 24-bit. This is high-tech stuff, high-quality, state-of-the-art sort of stuff going on here, and it's all for you. We do it just for you. And for example, if you're listening on headphones right now, someone's being what? Yeah. If you're listening on headphones right now, you can hear somebody getting sick. Excellent. Okay, well, we're past that now. But anyway, if you're listening on headphones, you can actually hear the cars, studs. No studs. Okay, studs. Yeah, studs. We're talking about the cars that have studded tires still on from the winter, versus the ones that don't. And we just got quite the massive attack of studs. Anyway, you can hear all the goings on. And we're just passing. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, doing another show, eh?
Indeed we are. Take her easy. That was Richard Mixer, our number one busker man. Yep. And so yeah, you can hear all these things if you listen on headphones. You can kind of really get a sense of the atmosphere. And what I really like and suggest that you do, especially, if you listen to this on, trains, planes, and whatever, buses, anywhere where you have time to listen to an episode, or just go out and sit somewhere, sit on your deck, put on your headphones and close your eyes, and you really get the sense that you're here with us, and you can really get into the atmosphere. Like, you can hear the music that's coming from right up over my head. That music, it's a place just above us. Now, we can't get that spatial, I don't think, but you do have some stereo imaging going on. I've heard some people talk, when they talk about various pieces of equipment, portable recording equipment. This is the Eterel R09HR, and it's a great machine. There's some other machines, other companies make similar type things. Professional quality digital recorder with 2 built-in mics right up on the top, 2 little condenser mic type thingies. And anyway, I've heard some people say that in comparison to another one in particular, and somewhat in general, that the stereo image from the Eterel isn't very wide. And I find that, to me, that's desirable. I don't want, I'm talking to you now, and I'm holding it very consciously in front of myself, as I would using a microphone. But this is 2 microphones, so I'm kind of talking to you in between the 2, so that, I'm not going to be sort of all over on one side like that, or something like that. So I'm very conscientious about how I use the equipment. But at the same time, if the image were extremely wide, I think everything would have that kind of unrealistic sort of, like our ears are just on each side of our head. They're not sticking out 10 feet each side of our head at the end of a pole or something, at the end of 2 poles or whatever. So I find this stereo image to be perhaps a little more realistic. Somebody can widen the image if they want in any editing software. You can just stereo widen it. A lot of boom boxes have a little widening button on it. Just widen out the image. But it makes it easier to do good recordings without a lot of the image jumping around on you all the time. Now, it might be interesting on a machine like this to have a little switch, a kind of a wide or narrow switch. So if you're like recording a band or something like that, if the band is mixed in stereo, which most bands aren't, but just say, for example, you're playing in a band and you're actually using a stereo PA system, and you want to set up your device somewhere in the middle, exactly in the middle, and you might throw on the stereo wide switch for that. But when you're using it almost as though it were a single mic, you might want to switch to the narrow, because you don't want to necessarily go to mono. You might be wanting to do exactly as we're doing here now. You might want to be walking down a street, having your voice in the middle, but also having some ambience. The ambience that's, all the things that you hear around us. Studs, for example. No studs. You want that to have a stereo image. So I think this machine, for me, is the best of the bunch for that. And if I record anything and I want to widen it, I'll just widen it in SoundForge or whatever. I don't have this exaggeratedly wide stereo signal. Anyway, that was the technical portion of our show. Do you think we have a pretty savvy bunch of listeners? Do you think we have a pretty savvy listener?
I think so. Yes, we do.
Root Cellar production.